Hey guys, this is Akshay Sura. Today we'll be covering the Content Hub Digital Asset Management administration. Most of the things we do in here in terms of administration will cover Content Hub in general. So when we're extending schema, adding taxonomy values, so we're pretty much touching the common core functionality of Content Hub, and it will be similar between CMP, PCM, because in all of these products, which are all Content Hub products, you will be touching schemas and taxonomies, and in order to customize these entities, content types, exactly to what your business needs. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to do that. In Content Hub, once you click on an asset, and as usual with our videos, on the left it's a demo instance of Content Hub, and on the right it's a plain instance, so we don't really have anything set up in terms of metadata or taxonomies. So when you click on an asset, you can see that you have different values available for the metadata of the asset. So the overview section, there's a couple other sections depending on, so image analysis, if you're running cognitive services, you can have, if it's a product asset, you'll have product data associated with it. There's system information and system properties. So these are all come out of the box. So there are certain properties which get hydrated at a system level, so any file based metadata properties, so once you get uploaded, the system updates them. Metadata can, as I mentioned, can come from file attributes. When you upload it, it can be set by the system, such as who uploaded it, when was it uploaded. Certain parts of the metadata can be set by cognitive services to get tags based on the image analysis, and then there's properties which can be set by the user themselves. So there's quite a bit of different ways in which you can hydrate these properties for the metadata. Some can be automated as part of the image analysis in order to extract, so you could have integrations which will use the image and then hydrate some metadata, so different ways of doing it. There are two types of metadata. It's controlled vocabulary, which is structured metadata with predefined set of options, so it's like an option list or taxonomy. In case of option list, if you have less than 10 options, that's pretty much when you end up using option lists. If you need hierarchical metadata, then you would choose the taxonomy, and these are typically things like asset type. So if I were to go in here, as you can see, asset type is a taxonomy. The brand asset is multi-level, as you can see. Some are multi-level, some aren't. So control vocabulary, we'll look into how to set up the option lists as well as taxonomy. The second type of metadata, as I mentioned, are properties. So anything like text, such as these. You could store numbers, date, time, and a couple other field types. So you can add them to any of these sections in order to get user input. Let's add option lists and taxonomy. So I go into manage, go into options. Let's create a new one, call it target audience. For target audience, let's add developers, and let's add one more, marketers. So now we have a target audience. If you have an existing list that you want to update, you can absolutely do so. It's pretty much it's pretty easy. They have hierarchical here as well, and you can move things around if you choose to. Next, let's get back into taxonomy. All right, let's go into taxonomy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find asset type, add a new asset type, And once you don't really have to specify the identifier, it automatically creates it. Labels pretty much are used when you're doing Excel import and things of that sort. So let's save that. So we added a product asset type, which is great. Now, okay, let's create a new taxonomy. Let's call it testing. And then in here, let's create number 1. Save that. Create another one. Create that. If you want to create a sub item, you could either create it here and then use the move function to move it. But if you would like, you could just create, click on the specific level 2. This is mainly just for us to do some testing. So as you can see, I have hierarchical value, and you can go multiple levels if you choose to, and you can have as many values as you want. So now we've created a brand new option list. We've created a brand new taxonomy. We have updated an existing taxonomy, and you can use the same process to update an existing option list as well. Next, we'll look into how we can add this onto the asset. So I'm going to go into schema, look for asset. Now, as you can see, there's several sections inside of asset. So when you notice, there's an overview section, there is image analysis, product data. So you could pretty much create new sections if you choose to, and put your attributes in different areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an asset type, which is an existing metadata. So right there, I'm going to add that into the overview section. So we added an existing metadata. I'm going to add our option list, which is target audience. I should probably target audience, and then it is, there you go. And then I am also going to add our new taxonomy, which is testing. Add that in. Make sure you publish. And then once you publish, go back to your asset. We'll open the same one just for consistency's sake. And when I hit edit, as you can see, now we have an asset type. And notice we have the product which we added. So I can select an asset type. Sometimes you can control whether you can select one or more. In this case, looks like we can select multiple, which is great, but you might just want one. For that matter, target audience, we added 3. Let's select developers if we need to. Testing, as you can see, we have multi-level. So level 1 had 2. So again, looks like it lets us select multiple, but there are options to control that. So you can customize this according to your business needs, according to your requirements. So this is a good way to add multiple attributes to the metadata to control different aspects of an asset. Next, we'll look into adding a property. So go into manage, schema, let's look for the asset, and let's add a new member. And you have several options to choose from. I'll stick with string for now. That's the name. The label is typically for the people using the system. You could specify help text. You could turn on quite a few of these attributes depending on your need. If you need it to be multilingual, type ahead. You can add conditions. You can make it required if you choose to. I'm going to set this as a multi-line. Save that. Once you save it, you publish. Once you publish, get back into the assets. We'll open the same asset. And then once I get in here, we have a market purpose. So it's pretty easy to extend metadata. You could use metadata for several things. It's not just, you might have a business purpose for it, but it also helps you search for these assets. So out of the box, the metadata you get might be great in terms of identifying the asset, but for your business users to be able to search, find these assets in hundreds and thousands, it helps for you to tag it with different things like market segments, who is it catered to, any business purpose, and descriptions or tags of any sort, which will help them search for it. Next, we'll look at conditional statements on either sections or on fields. So if we go into manage, get into schema. So what I want to do is on the asset, I'm going to say that for market purpose, only show the market purpose if the asset type is a product. So we save that, publish it. Now let me get back to the asset. As you can see, this guy now doesn't show the market purpose at all. If I go ahead and hit product, the moment I add that, I get the market purpose. So this kind of helps you have this conditional logic depending on if the product is of type, asset is of type product. You could probably show a product section if the asset is of type advertisement, for instance. You could show a different section, so you can keep the UI pretty clean, simple enough for your end users to use it without too much hassle and cluttering the whole UI. Next, we'll look at the cognitive services for media processing, which generates metadata for us. So, for instance, the colors, the tags, and description of an image. It helps us hydrate more information about an asset automatically as part of media processing. So in here, the asset type really determines if we process the cognitive services. So if we go into type and then we look at a specific asset type, the trigger vision is what determines it. So if I enable product as the one, then trigger vision is what will put that into that process flow, and also there's a cost associated with this. Next, we need to figure out what exactly will be extracted as part of the media processing. So if you go into media processing, vision, choose the image type. Each of these steps you could do certain parts of the process. You could add more steps or modify existing one. The panel on the right helps you define what exactly will happen. In this case, we chose tags, description, and color. I'm going to leave it as is because we have not modified anything at this moment. Now, if we go into an existing asset, add the type as product, hit OK, save. And then what this does is adds jobs in the jobs section. Once the job is completed and you refresh this page, you'll be able to see the image analysis. So at this moment, as you notice, we don't see any tags. We don't see any values inside of the image analysis at this moment in time. So we will wait for the job to finish, and then once we refresh, we should be able to see it. As you notice, we got the cognitive services running. We got the tags for this. We got the image analysis. which is it's white for whatever reason, and so you have to take it with a grain of salt. With some of these cognitive services, as they learn more, they are able to generate better results for you. But in terms of tags, it's cartoon, drawing, sketch, illustration, vector graphics. So might not be the best example, but this is an example of cognitive services. In terms of auditing, you notice this icon which shows the history of what's been happening at a field level. You can also go into the reporting logs, which kind of give you an overview of all the things which have happened in the system, and you can go into each one and kind of figure out what exactly happened in terms of all the events which took place in the system. You can also look at the raw audit logs as well. These have very minute information as to this is the job that triggered, the changes we had made to the asset. So you could pretty much piece together all the events which happened in the system using these audit logs. And again, Content Hub is an ocean. There's a million things you could do in here, from theming, you could do translations, a bunch of security, UI configurations for pages, search, customizations, adding facets, providing different options. I mean, as your need grows and you try to find new functionalities, you can definitely customize this and make it your own. And as I mentioned, most of these activities, we just concentrated on an asset, but there's different kinds of entities. So on content, all of these customizations can be applied to any of those. That's it for today. If you have any questions, be sure to reach out to us. Hopefully we'll have another video coming soon with the integration.